Hi everybody, this is Judi.
And I'm Jo Whitford from eSmart Libraries.
And I'm the eSmart Schools Manager. And welcome to the webinar, Smart, Safe, Responsible Communities. And thank you for participating today, the very last day of our National eSmart Week. I hope you've had a great week. We've certainly had an amazing week. It has been extremely busy, but by gosh, it's been great with everybody participating and we've been doing lots of webinars, so they're going to go out to everybody next week. So even if you didn't participate in them, they will be there for you to download. We've had lots of great people, Justin Coulson talking about how families can keep themselves safe. We've had Project Rocket doing a great Twitter feed last night, and we've had Michael Carr-Gregg, as well as our own great staff, participating in so many terrific things. We've also had schools doing amazing things, and I just went to did a couple of library sessions, one at the Dandenong Library, which was just amazing, and the participation of the community there was just so great. It really inspired me, and I really realised how we do need to look at communities as a way for us to be able to teach everyone how to be smart and safe online. If you have any questions at all while we're going, please type them in and we will make sure that we answer them. We'll also give you a little bit of time at the end for anybody if they've got anything to ask us. Of course, we don't mind at all, and we'll give you some details at the end of how you can contact us if you would like some further information, etc., etc. So we'll start our actual webinar, and as I say, welcome to everyone, and we also realise that people will be coming in from time to time as they join us.
If you can't hear us for any reason, if you're able to raise your hand, which is on the control panel, we'll try and alter the sound. We think we're coming through loud and clear, but if for some reason you can't hear us, please raise your hand. Now, what we'd like to do during this webinar is to provide you with different ideas to assist in building cyber-safe communities. People still love gifts and giveaways, and there's lots and lots of great information available free of charge from industry bodies. And you can see here these wonderful pictures of some giveaways that libraries have put in their library, and also schools perhaps might be able to put into their schools if there are open days. All of the information that you can see is free of charge. You can literally go onto websites and order this stuff to arrive in your library or school.
So first of all, what is eSmart? eSmart is a framework that basically sits across schools and libraries, and it guides them in making sure that they've got their policies, their practices, their protocols, their user agreements, etc. absolutely locked down, so that it keeps the school and library safe, but it also gives them lots of information of how to do that. But the main thing is, if we ever have incidents, if there's anything that goes wrong, we're making sure that we have our, everything locked down and that sort of thing. Within schools particularly, we make sure that all of the policies are up to speed. As we know, technology changes on a day-to-day basis these days. But also too, things like our social media policies. How do parents know about what they can and can't do on their own social media sites? For instance, they can't come up to a school function, take a photo of kids, go home and put it up on their social media and say, hey, we had a great time up at our school, if they do not have the permission of the parents of the rest of those children. So lots of things that we need to make sure that everybody is doing. It's a bit like a gap analysis. We know schools and libraries are doing fantastic stuff already in this space, but it's just sort of looking at, well, what are we doing, but what are we forgetting to do, or what haven't we thought of yet? And that's where that framework comes in as a gap analysis. We've got lots of support that goes out to those schools with, helping you with your policy, helping you with your user agreements, and guidance with resources, etc., and particularly with the curriculum and that.
I also just wanted to add, we've got partnerships as one of our key points here. It's interesting to note that in both of our frameworks for libraries and schools, we do have an outreach part. So if you do have an eSmart school or an eSmart library in your community, they would love to hear from you, and they would love to organise some sort of networking activities. So partnerships is really about linking up, networking with your community and working out the best way for both of you to come together to support the community.
It's also a lot about well-being. It's all about those great values that we're teaching our young people and our adults as well as our older part of the community. It's that I always keep saying online, offline is absolutely no different. All of those great values, all of those relationships about looking after each other, respecting each other, caring for each other, same thing online. There is no difference. Particularly when I talk to young people, you know, they often say, well, it's a screen, you know, they don't get that it's actually, there are people we're talking to. But as I say, it's called social media. So we are talking to people. So those values are really, really important, offline, online. Whatever we do offline, we should be doing online. And there shouldn't be any, it should just be a seamless thinking about, well, what are the rules of keeping myself safe offline? We need to make sure that those rules still apply online. Certainly all about making sure that we've got an effective organisation, that everyone knows exactly what to do if something happens, or just even teaching and conversing in the same sort of the way we speak, the way we talk, so that everyone is on the same page at all times. So what is an eSmart community? This is really kind of an extension of what we've been talking about with our schools and libraries, and this is what we're really trying to get across. You know, our aim at the Alannah Madeline Foundation is all about, you know, having an eSmart Australia, and I think that is just so important for me. The passion is making sure that everyone is safe online. We need to embrace technology, but we also know that there are risks, and are we making sure that everyone is aware of those risks? So the community is all about, from the little ones who are just starting, you know, early childhood. We know that they're on their devices before they can even read, so we know what they're doing, how they're doing it, right through to the staff in all of our libraries, schools, but also our shops and our communities. The parents are a really big part of this, but including the sporty clubs, the community groups, all of those different areas. And as I say, youth services, disability, community is all about keeping everyone safe, and if we're all on the same page, we can do that as a collective. And I think communities are all about looking after each other, and for me that is a really important area.
Absolutely, and the single message as well. If we repeat the single message time and time again, really people are really going to understand, move along, help each other. So it builds the community up strength by strength. These are some of the community activities that have taken place in libraries, and no doubt schools as well. Campaspe Libraries in rural Victoria invited the local school children in after they had put a project together on being cyber safe. So they discussed cyberbullying and eSmart as a collective group in the library, and the library also donated a wall, as you can see, to put up the posters that had been made in schools. This was such a great collaborative initiative, and it can easily be done with the local schools or local libraries. It perhaps takes just a phone call or an email to hook up with the eSmart coordinator in one of the venues, and no doubt you'd have a group of people coming into the library or school to look at the display and see what the children have done.
And we've got a couple of really great examples as well with the stall community, where the schools were saying, goodness me, there's a whole lot of issues we're dealing with all the time, but this isn't just our job. You know, we're not the only ones responsible for education. So they actually got everybody together. They invited the whole community, the whole town along, and we did a fabulous day up there some time back where we went up there, we ran lots and lots of activities, we did lots and lots of little programs to sort of help and support and encourage the community, so that they were all really fired up and built up about, you know, it isn't just a school's job anymore, it is a whole community. Another great experience that we've had is where a whole group of very small schools in regional area all got together, and they have a special cyber safety day every year, and they get the police in to come and talk, they get all of the different community areas in, they run competitions, they do projects together, and that's worked on within their schools over a number of weeks, but it all culminates in one huge big massive day where they invite everyone in to have a look at what's going on. It brings the community together, but it also is that whole idea that it is everybody's responsibility, and we can't just sit back and say, oh, well, let the schools do this or let the libraries do this. It really is everybody working together in the same space.
Well, that is exactly right. It is about everyone taking responsibility, and it not just be the onus on the parents or the library or the school. It's about everyone coming together and actively sharing that information.
This is a workshop that we ran last year actually at a school where we talked about the digital license, which is an absolutely fabulous resource that you can access through the Alannah Madeline Foundation. It's not just really works in schools, it works in homes, parents can access it, and it's a good way of starting up that conversation. I have a lot of parents who say to me, I don't really know what my kids are doing online, they've got the technology skills, I don't really understand, I have no idea what it's on. But this is a great way to actually start a conversation, because there's 8 different modules, they're all interactive, and things like privacy, where you can work through it with your child, and you can actually have a conversation about what's right, what's wrong, you're learning, they're also learning how to be online, but that conversation is there, that the children know that you're interested, that you care, and that also that they can come to you for support and help if anything does go wrong. You don't have to know the technology, you just need to know how to make sure that the children are safe, looking at privacy settings, looking at what they're watching, is it age appropriate, is it, you know, for that child, is it appropriate, whether it's a game, whether it's a movie, or whatever it is they're watching.
I think that is a really good point. It's not that we all need to become experts. Because technology is moving so fast, it's sometimes quite hard to keep up, but these industry bodies and websites that are available out there will give us all the information that we need. It's about starting that conversation with the young people and seeing really where the gaps are. So there's lots and lots of different websites that you can access. If you go onto eSmart.org.au, you'll find that there are some cyber safety websites that you can immediately look at to get the information that you need. So do have a look at that site after the webinar.
So how do we build a community? You know, what makes up that? How do we start? And it is all about the culture. We started eSmart a number of years ago now, and it was all about changing the culture. It's all about what we do, how do we think before we post, how do we think before we do anything online. And so it's changing that culture, changing those behaviours and making sure that they just become commonplace. And that's exactly what we're doing within the community. We're making sure that everybody's on board and has that knowledge and understanding about how we can keep everybody smart, safe and responsible. It's accessing the tools and strategies, and there's some, as Jo just said, there's some fabulous resources out there, and there's some really good information that we can all educate ourselves with, and make sure, even if it's grandma who's babysitting the children, you know, how do they know what to tell their children? But just sitting there and having those open conversations is amazing. And it's about involvement. It's getting everybody on board with this. And everywhere I go and talk, people I talk to say, I don't know if I understand it enough. Well, I think it's our responsibility as community members to make sure that we do actually understand it. And it's really easy just to go on and Google and find out a little bit about ourselves. You know, Google's can be our best friend, and it can be the easiest thing we've ever used. So having everyone involved, giving everybody that empowerment that they can actually make a difference. They don't need to know it all. They don't need to have the insights about everything. It's just saying, okay, well, I actually know how to do a password safely. I know how to go into my privacy settings. I know how to make sure that I can turn off my chat in the games that I'm playing, or helping others to do that. So we know that most of our communities these days, they live on the internet. There's very few people that I know that aren't on the World Wide Web. And as we know, there are 5.5 billion people on that World Wide Web, and we need to make sure that we are all safe, and that we are making sure that those who are on it that shouldn't be, or are doing the wrong thing, how we can make sure that we've set ourselves up that isn't going to affect us.
So we mentioned giveaways before. These are some great and cute little ideas. These giveaways came out of a library actually holding one of their accreditation events. You can see the E for eSmart. So everyone that came in to attend the event got a little cookie here, and also some of the information on tip sheets that was available. This came out last year, one of the top 10 tips, and this year we've also got a great list of some tips available. I think they're out now, aren't they?
They've all been sent out.
Yeah,
yes.
Fantastic. They will be posted up on our website if you do need to get hold of them. But yeah, these are some great ideas and very easy to do. This is quite an innovative idea. One of the libraries reached out to their local council and found that the council had this wonderful little vehicle that visited loads of community groups within their area. Why not speak to the comms and media team at council and see if they might be able to put some tip sheets in their vehicle as they're doing their own outreach. On the right hand side as well, you can see some other top 10 cyber safety tips. And this is a great way of just identifying what's out there in a positive way. If we start repeating this message, people will understand that they'll need to themselves check their passwords. They'll need to remember about uploading their personal information, and just taking a check on what they're doing online.
And as we said, we've got well over 1,000 different community groups, schools, libraries, business partners that have been joined on and registered to our eSmart Week this week. And we did put up some great cyber safety tips. Most of those have been sent out to all those registered, but it's not too late. If you listening to this webinar and you'd still like to come in and get all of the resources that are available, by all means just register. Project Rocket did a fantastic Twitter feed last night. They've been extremely supportive. They've got great ideas all of the time, so it really is great there. So get the resources, even if you're just listening to this and not participating in any other way.
That's right. We don't need to change the message. The message is the same. We just need to get it out there.
This is how do we engage a lot of the people. This is one thing that a lot of our schools do, and I think it's a great idea. As I said before, some of the parents say, I really don't understand the technology, or I'm not quite sure what my children are doing, especially at school. So some of the schools have a really great way of having techie brekkies. Now, this, first thing before school when parents drop off, because often they've got work to do, go on to, we all know parents are busy these days, so they're going off to work. But just open up an area. It could be part of the library, it could be part of the IT room, wherever. Provide a cup of tea, a muffin, something, and parents can come in and staff can actually go around and say, well, this is what we're doing, these are the devices we're using, these are the programs we're using, and just teaching them as well about what their children are doing online. And it's a really important way of connecting with the schools, but libraries can do this as well. Anyone can actually be informing people, but by having an innovative way of being able to get that message across. And so therefore they can do it after school, but even if you've just got half a dozen people coming in and informing themselves, having that conversation, it's just a great way of getting your people. The schools I know have difficulty in getting parents on board, and this is just one way of doing that.
Absolutely. And once you've got that one person on board, perhaps they might go back and speak to their family. Now they're networking with 4, 6, 8 different people. So some of the libraries have also put up some great displays, and you can see on the left-hand side, this was a display about how I can be cyber safe when and they invited their community to just drop in a message into each of these speech bubbles. That was a great way of identifying with the community. And on the right-hand side, you can see a little larger display outside on a wall here at Flinders College. The primary students probably studied for probably a term here about cyber safety, and their displays and their messages also went up. Now, how many parents are going to walk past that wall display and look at their own child's work? And that can identify with some of these great positive messages.
And one way we always tell schools how to get their parents involved is letting the children run the sessions. The kids love it. We know parents absolutely love going up and watching their children. They don't necessarily sort of want to come along and watch an oldie like me talk, but they're quite happy to come up and have a look at what their children are doing. And I have been present at so many schools where the students have run the sessions, they've put up displays, they've talked about what they do, they've made portfolios online, you know, they've acted out little plays, they've made videos, they've done all of their different avatars and got them running the show. It is just amazing how we can get that parent engagement. But we also know children learn off other children, and that is a fabulous way of getting that message across. And we do know that there's certainly engaging when that sort of thing's happening, and that is also, they can then take that message out into the community and have the children give the message, and as I say, you know, into older people's houses, into neighbourhood houses, aged care facilities. I've seen a fabulous program that a school runs in Victoria, that they literally go up to their aged care facility once a week, and they talk about being safe and helping the older people being online, and it's just worked an absolute treat.
Absolutely, and we see this as well in libraries. It's a fantastic way for outreach. You can visit a retirement centre, you can put information their way, whether it's a bookmark that leads to a website of digital literacy for the older population. There's so much wonderful stuff online, whether it's online banking, online shopping, booking holidays, looking at all sorts of things. I mean, this is not really set only for one particular age range, it's for absolutely everyone. So yeah, we certainly suggest for outreach that you can work with all of these different groups, including the retirement villages and the older population who are desperately looking to be online, I think. So we've looked at some of the displays. These are some others, and once again, all the material that you see is from some of the industry bodies out there, like Think You Know as part of the AFP. The Telstra tip sheets also feature. The Office of the E-Safety Commissioner is also there, and you can see just in one of the photographs, you can see an eSmart Libraries poster. We've got these posters. We are very, very happy to give you some information as to where to go, so do contact us if you're looking for information and you can't quite find it. On the left-hand side as well, that's Big Sky Libraries. They also ask their community for information about being safe online, and some of the information from their users has been pinned up.
These are just a couple of activities that came out of last year's eSmart Week that some of the primary schools did. The Mr. Med and Little Miss Become eSmart, and they actually wrote a book. The grade 2s wrote this book about how they became eSmart, and they put all their own messaging in it, and it became, you know, part of the library. But it also is a great opportunity if you've got buddy systems happening in your school. We certainly run the Better Buddies program, and I've seen this really effective, where the older students are helping their little buddies online, but making a book that goes into the library and the children absolutely love reading is just, you know, just fantastic, and it just looked absolutely wonderful. And just a couple of the activities. Now, we send out in our resources prior to this eSmart Week lots and lots of resources how teachers and librarians could be using in their libraries and schools to work with their children. You know, teachers, I know, are busy people. They don't always have time to think up resources, so we've sent lots of them out. Please contact us if you want to know any more, but for both primary and secondary. library. There's just an array of amazing activities that you can just put straight into your schools and classrooms and into your libraries to do.
Absolutely. Keep hold of that tip sheet that we sent out, because you might find something during the year that you'd like to implement.
And that's a good point. Even though we have a big eSmart week, we've got to remember that this is a 24-hour, 52-week event that we need to keep people safe online. So it's for spreading out during the year, even though we do celebrate it in a week.
Kimber School Library over in South Australia was the very first school community library to become eSmart, and this is where a library, a public library, is in a school. So you'll have students use the library, of course, during the day as their own library, but also members of the public are in the library at any time as well. Now, they decided that if they reached out to their community, they would have the parents, they'd obviously have the teachers and the school students, but they'd also have the public listen to the information, read the information that's around, come and have a look at some of the displays in the library. So each month they added in the principal's report a little article on cyber safety, as you can see, and they're promoting that they have become an eSmart library. This was a fantastic community initiative, and lots of people were therefore made aware of the eSmart initiative, but also some of the top tips that are around. Again, you don't need to invent or reinvent the wheel, invent some of the top tips. They are there available. It is about that message getting out across the whole community. Another library, actually, this is a public library in South Australia, ran an informal group session. So they used the library as a venue and just opened up the library at a particular time for external people to come in and just mingle around, have a chat, bring their devices, look at some of the issues or perhaps some of the problems that each was having, and be able to problem solve together. So whilst this wasn't a formal training session, it was much more an informal coffee morning. People could have a chat, network with each other, and really talk about the issues that they were having and some of the wonderful things that they were finding out about being online. So very much sharing the knowledge with the community.
And of course in a very safe way, which is our message always.
There's lots of media around. These are some of the libraries that have put press releases together. And libraries and schools can do this very easily. There's a comms and media department in all councils. We've also got our own comms and media department here. And we or your comms and media at council can help with a press release. Obviously, this is going out to the whole community in the local newspapers, or even if you have a community magazine. But it's a great way of celebrating what you are doing to keep your community safe, all the ideas, perhaps websites to link up to as well. Fantastic way for communities to celebrate how much they're doing to be safe online.
So what's the role of the parent? One that we probably do a lot, we run connect sessions where we go out to schools and libraries and run sessions on all sorts of areas for students, for parents, for staff, etc. And we often get asked, well, how can parents get involved? What do they need to do? I think creating those rules and boundaries for technology use at home, one of my big things is getting those devices out of the bedrooms. They shouldn't be in there. We need to know what our children are doing, and I know a lot of parents say, but I've got teenagers, they're doing homework, they want to be on their own, they don't want to be bothered. Well, we need to actually be caring for them and knowing what they are doing online. We really need to make sure that we can always hear what they're doing online, so volume always needs to be up, and we also need to be able to have access to see that screen, even if we're just walking past. It's not just keeping you know, sort of watching what they're looking at, but it's also there for support. If a child is being cyberbullied or something's going wrong, we can be there, we can be knowing what we're doing, we're listening to that chat that's going on behind the games, etc., etc. But it also creates a really good opportunity for us to talk to our children about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Online behaviours are constantly the one thing that we need to make sure, you know, how do we teach our children? Again, it comes back to online, offline, it's that well-being, it's that looking after each other, supporting each other, respecting each other. There are so many resources out there to assist us in making informed digital choices. As I say, you can go in and find out what any one of these apps are, what are the personal privacy security sections that we can actually assist with. There's some fabulous resources out there for parental controls that you can put onto your children's devices and the devices in your house to make sure that you can either look at screen time, you can make sure you know what they're on, you can go into their search history, because we know children as they get older know how to delete their search history. So, you know, and I think being a parent is one of the most important jobs that we have today. So, you know, we need to be a good parent both online and offline, and we do need to know what they're doing. You know, we teach them stranger danger when they're little. We tell them not to talk to strangers. So why are we allowing them to be on devices talking to strangers online? That just doesn't make sense to me. So we really need to realise what our responsibility as a parent or a grandparent or an auntie and uncle or a big sister brother, to making sure that we know what our children are doing and to support and help them as they're working through and making their own choices and growing up. Some of the current cyber issues we have, of course, is, you know, making sure that those children have that digital footprint, making sure that we know that, you know, what the choices they're making is not going to affect them later in life. Geo-tracking, really important. Why do we want everybody to know where our children are at any one time? Make sure we know how to turn those things off. These days, selfies, explicit images are being used all the time between especially teenagers. Online gaming is a real issue, and of course screen time. We have great Connect sessions that absolutely look at all of these areas and can support and help you with every one of them.
Yeah, well, this is also another way of communities coming together. You can see on the left side that Wanneroo Library, our first eSmart library in WA, organised a cyber safety information session for students. So they invited the students of the local school in. Telstra very kindly donated show bags with cyber safety tip sheets in. And a lot of people arrived and had a great afternoon. They ran sessions. They talked about how to be safe online. On the right-hand side, again, the local community came into one of the regional libraries at Karratha, and they brought out their Cyber Safe Sam mascot. Children absolutely love that kind of mascot or identify with that kind of stuff, and the parents, you can see, had a great time with their young people.
So lots of resources out there to help you, and this is just some of them. The Office of the E-Safety Commissioner. They have a great iParent magazine where you can download and you can get that every couple of weeks. Fabulous information. They also have the best reporting system ever, that you can report any inappropriate content or things happening online. Parents Guide to Gaming. Common Sense Media is fantastic for parents. Parenting for a Digital Future, Connect Safely, and of course the Education Department's Bully Stoppers. If you need any of this further information or resources and you haven't been able to take a shot of this, please let us know, and we're more than happy to always help you out with whatever resources that you need. Thank you for your time and attention. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask?
Well, none have come through at this stage, but if you would like to contact us, please contact us. This is our website. You can obviously contact us via email. If you're looking for any form of support, any form of information, we would be more than happy to get in touch with you, come and visit you, organise a workshop, organise a Connect session. So do let us know if you've got any questions after the webinar.
Thanks very much for your attention. Have a great weekend coming up, and please make sure you're smart, safe and responsible when you're online.
Thanks everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.